I have a question for you. Have you ever succeeded in doing something so personally monumental, it changed what you thought was possible? Did it make you feel like you were limitless? Like everything you ever wanted was in your grasp? Did you get so excited to take the next step that you rushed straight from the end of your previous victory to start the next venture immediately, only to underperform? Had you been discouraged? Did you feel naive? Were you suddenly questioning whether your success was just a fluke? Did you believe it? You might have been wrong, but not about what you thought. The syndrome takes at every turn. Hello, I am a duck. Creativity is an incredibly useful tool which I believe everyone can tap into, but for some reason people tend to cut themselves off from it. Be it age or maturity, their chosen scapegoat, many somehow delude themselves into thinking the myth that art is not for everyone. Art is subjective. That is the very thing that makes it for anyone. You don't have to create the greatest work ever for your art to matter, but sometimes there is a wall and artists just stop. Why is that? Why do some artists stop? A lot of times, it's imposter syndrome. The syndrome stalks the individual and waits for its moment to strike. It is fear. It is every negative emotion it can be. According to dictionary.com, imposter syndrome is anxiety or self-doubt that results from persistently undervaluing one's competence and active role in achieving success while falsely attributing one's accomplishments to luck or other external forces. It's a very confusing thing. Artists sometimes stop because they don't believe in themselves anymore. Somehow, a type of outside influence, or maybe even an internal one, changes how they view everything they've already done. Personally, it makes absolutely no sense at all, and yet I am one of those very artists that suffers from imposter syndrome regularly. It's to the point where, in order to perform, I have to follow a checklist. An item on that checklist is to ignore the syndrome. It's not there once or twice. It's on there multiple times because no matter what I do, the syndrome always tries to come back. There are temporary points where it goes away completely, which is beautiful. It's a monumental moment because that is the time where I truly feel like the artist I am. But see, in order to make sure that it stays that way, I have to find a place to stop myself from allowing the syndrome to find a foothold. I have to literally stop. That may sound counterintuitive to creating art. You would think that as an artist I would want to continue no matter what, but I have to take time to reflect on what I've done and enjoy it. Personally, I have to stop right after I succeed. Before I explain how that works, I need you to understand where my motivation comes from. A lot of us call it the muse. Mine is music. Reading books that are connected to art, like The War of Art by Steven Pressfield, will eventually bring the concept of the muse to an aspiring artist. The muse isn't some new thing, they've existed for years, sometimes guiding us by hand or, when we're being stubborn, forcing us head first. The muse is always there for artists in one way or another, sitting in the corner watching, burning their desires into the fibers, screaming and shaking the artist in their mortal frame until they can't help but act, filling their eyes with worlds unseen. The muse is always there. So what is the muse? It's simple. The muse is inspiration personified. She will speak to us, and it is up to us as the artists to listen. My muse will always find me. She sings softly the world's melodies. I hear her best when I block out everything. She whispers, she cries, she laughs, but ultimately she's with me in song because that is how she knows to reach me. The question now is, how does your muse reach you? Understanding that now brings us back on topic. What I spoke about in the beginning is actually what happens to me every time I make art. The only difference is that recently I've learned when to change my perspective. For me, the muse sings, I'm inspired, I create art, I love and enjoy it. I put everything I've ever had into it, and then after I let it go into the world, I'm so excited that I have to start something new right away. That is where I make my mistake, because when I do that, I don't give myself any time to rest. This is why I failed in the past. The fatigue hits me right when I should be getting drive and a newly found invigoration to push through whatever the next thing is. I start questioning myself. Anything and everything negative on the outside only builds what's negative on the inside. Without the proper rest, if anyone questions me, I start to wonder if they're right. I start to wonder if I was ever really an artist in the first place. Never mind the precious successes that I have sitting right in front of me. I'm lost. As artists, we need to evaluate what point we're most vulnerable. One day, as a challenge, instead of fearing it, study it. There is no perfect answer, but there's always a choice, a chance to improve. Maybe your journey is different than mine, but once you finally figure out how to at least combat your block, make your way past the syndrome, you might realize that every piece of creativity you have, everything you make, every tool you choose, and every story you tell is just another walk in the park. Hello everyone. I hope you enjoyed the ramblings of a mad duck. If you did, do me a favor and hit that like and subscribe button. If you have anything specific to share, be it about the topic or the art, please post it in the comments below. I should have plenty of content on the channel, so do me a favor and explore that, will you? And if you'd like to see more art, follow me on Instagram at SofaKingDuck. Other than that, that's all for now. I guess I'll see you soon.